So now I'm on my way to the Wildflower Collective. This is Rachel's collective. She is a maternal mental health advocate, and I'm excited to meet her. Shout out to Kiss for my eyelashes. You know, at some point during one of my girls, her last procedure, I was just so anxious that, believe it or not, I didn't figure this out until, we got home and everything was settled and she was okay, that I had picked all of the eyelashes out of my right eye. And this eye is like completely bare now, unfortunately. But shout out to Kiss for the lashes.
Hi.
Can I hug you?
Hi. Yes, of course. Was that so awkward?
I'm sweating.
No, you're fine.
All right, let me go back on again.
Welcome. I'm Rachel. I am a local photographer specializing in maternity, newborn, and family sessions. And I also specialize in female brands, professional photography for women-owned brands. I also just opened this space, which is the Wildflower Collective. It's where my photo studio is. So I do sessions here now, in addition to offering sessions in home and at various locations. But the reason why I opened this space was I wanted to have a communal space for women in the area. So though it's a photo studio, it is also a workshopping space. It's an event space, and really just a place that women can come together, meet each other, connect, and support each other.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. Thanks for coming.
Tell me, how did it all start for you? You began as a photographer?
I did. I just had a newborn session today, and they asked me, they're like, have you always done this? And I told them no. I had nothing to do with this. Photography started out as like a creative passion and hobby for me when I was at my previous job. It started on the side just for fun, and I found that that was bringing me more joy. And I just started photographing my colleagues' kids or family members, and the next thing you know, I'm like, what am I doing? Is this something that I should pursue? Especially as my husband and I were like, should we start trying to have kids? Who would be the primary caretaker? If I transitioned to owning like a photography business that was my own, I could be the primary caretaker while also having, a flexible job. Mm-hmm. So that's how it started. And over the years, becoming a mother myself, I realized just how passionate I was about the motherhood journey and capturing that, but really connecting with these families and connecting with moms. So I decided if I was going to put all of my time and energy into this, which, as you know, as a mom, we don't have a lot of time or energy. I needed to be strategic about what I wanted to be doing with that. So for me, it was kind of saying no to other photography opportunities and really just focusing in on, like I mentioned, families, motherhood, and women-owned businesses. So that's kind of, the focus I have right now.
Yeah.
But
and a niche that was meaningful to you.
Yes, exactly. Meaningful. And like I said, I did a session this morning, and it's not just me going in and photographing kids and their new baby brother or sister and their parents. It's me connecting with those kids as siblings. It's me connecting with the mom and asking about her birth experience, or trying to figure out ways I can support the family, because I struggled, my family struggled. So connecting them with local resources, and that was also kind of, how this whole entity came to be. I wanted to be able to offer something more than just beautiful pictures, but really kind of like a whole experience, because it can obviously be really hard. I can't even tell you how many times I've had these newborn sessions, and there will be mothers who express they had traumatic birth experiences, or they're having issues breastfeeding, or they're just generally not doing well mentally. And it wasn't until someone asked them in the privacy of their home with a fellow mother saying like, how are you doing, that they will open up to you. And I consider that a privilege. I want to be able to leave with a positive impact in some regard. So whether that's just mentioning the name of a professional in the area that they never would have known, because how hard is it sometimes to find the time to just sit and Google and research? I remember like being so overwhelmed when I was struggling with my own stuff. Like, where do I begin? It's so much easier through word of mouth and referrals. That has been like a major goal of mine, is to find my own network of people I trust and bring that here. So if people need a space and they need to know where to go, I can kind of be like that touch point for them. I keep thinking about, okay, this is funny, and just also because of like what we're, talking about with motherhood. Sometimes I do offer to mothers, I'm like, do you want me to capture while you're breastfeeding, right? If you want to be able to look back on that or whatever. And this one mother had a very strong letdown, as did I. So it was messy initially, and she was like totally embarrassed. And I said to her, like, girl, I was like a super searcher all over the place. Like, please don't even worry. And it almost made us laugh, because it was just something that felt uncomfortable, and then it was just like so funny, and the baby fell into place, the mother eased up, the baby stopped crying. The next thing you know, I'm capturing just like these stunning images of like what many would consider like a sacred time, right? So I can look back on that and laugh and think like, that was actually insane, like behind the scenes, what is actually going on when you see these images. And it's real life. It's, like craziness.
Maybe people don't know that that's normal.
Yeah.
And that, yes, it can get messy.
I literally didn't. I was like, what the hell is going on when it started happening to me the first time. And my friend, specializes in lactation, and she came over and was explaining it all to me. And again, made me feel, I remember being there almost 6 years ago now, being like, embarrassed or concerned or whatever. And she was like, no, this is okay. And I'm going to help you and coach you. And again, we can laugh about it now, and it helped me ease up and stress less. And again, I try to like bring that into these sessions. But I mean, that's one of probably many, many crazy shots and stories that have happened. But kind of like we were talking about before, like, it's hard to remember all these things. Like, oh my God, I'm just like constantly losing brain cells. But yeah, and then there's a lot of like fun behind the scenes when I'm working with kids, like getting these really joyous pictures of kids. And a lot of the times it's me just pretending to fart, or it's me like pretending to like pick my nose. It's like boogers and toots, and it's not really anything complicated. It's just being crazy. I myself was one of those women. I mean, that's how all of this came to be, just because of the fact that I had no idea where to go. And I was very lucky that I did have good doctors. I had a village like built in. I had a lot of mothers in my own neighborhood, so like within proximity, who were able to step up and, you know, get me the right people in my door. And otherwise, I don't know how, you know, things might have went so differently. And they do go differently for a lot of women, which is really, really tough, right? Like, that's a tough pill to swallow. So I think all of these things are out there, but how do we spread awareness? How do we make the connections easy, right? And I'm still learning that. Like, I'm still learning 6 years later, like, these services are available. I had a postpartum doula come in. Her name's Karen Zamperini. She's awesome. To one of my community hours. And I said to her as we're talking, you are exactly who I wish I had, but I did not know you existed, right? Like, so it was so refreshing to have her there and know that she existed, but it also did make me a little sad because I was like, I wish I had that for myself. But can't do anything about that. So what can we do moving forward? And it's like connecting with someone like her, connecting with people like you, like people we met at Sam's, and helping other women so that their experience can be like that much easier, because it's fucking hard. So this is obviously from my own personal experience as a mother. And it's kind of similar to what you and I were talking about before with having more kids, right? So I have 3 kids. I have a 5-year-old boy and 3.5-year-old twins. I went through severe postpartum depression after the twins, 6 months postpartum with them. And like I was saying to you, I don't remember a lot of that time. And that is something I have had to work through with my own therapist and in my own healing still 3 years later. And one of the moments where I think of this like vividly is having a daughter, because I had a boy first, and having my daughter Mia, who is just such a light. She's amazing. And she, I think, was at the time maybe like 18 months. We're just like connecting. She's so silly. She's so adorable. She's expressing, you know, she's talking more. She's telling me, like, you know, that she loves me. And I am just totally engrossed in this love with her. But I'm also suddenly feeling this sadness. I mean, and I know what that sadness was. It was looking at her and looking in her eyes and being like, I don't even remember you as a baby. And, you know, that night, as probably most moms do, like, we need to go to bed, and we're like looking at pictures on our phone until 1 a.m, you know, like, and me feeling that grief of, I will never get that back. I have this now, and it is so wonderful, and it has truly taught me to try and be as present as possible as I can with my kids now, because, you know, as cliche as it sounded, it is all fleeting, but I'd be lying if I said it didn't make me like angry or sad that that part of my life is locked away somewhere, you know, and maybe I will remember it one day, maybe I won't, you know. All I have are these pictures, and I can't really connect with them. So that for me, I think, is like the perfect example of like this simultaneous grief and joy. And my therapist actually said something really interesting to me about this, because all of a sudden I'm like, does this mean I want another kid? Right? Like, my husband's like, what? Does this mean I want another baby? You know, I want another shot at this, to really embrace it and own it. And she framed it to me in a way I had not thought of. Just because you have another kid does not mean you won't still grieve what you lost with the twins. Like, it may distract you, it may fill the void a little bit, but that is a separate entity that is going to be with you, and you need to work through, right? Like, those are 2 of your own little humans that you did lose part of, you know? So I just thought that was like a really interesting way of framing it, because I don't want more kids, right? I know that. I I'm in a place now where I think that part of my journey is over, and like you, I'm like feeling good again and pursuing my passions again, and have found a new joy in motherhood with toddlers and, you know, getting older kids, you know, like whatever we want to call it, you know, just kids, you know. So I'm really trying to embrace this stage of motherhood. But yeah, it's messy. I keep going back to that, like what my therapist said, when I have those moments that I'm like, no, that isn't the answer. Just, you know, because I do need to worry about myself, and I have to worry about my mental health, and I have to worry about, you know, how I am doing. And if I'm doing well now, my family's doing better now, like I don't want to mess with that. So and it's only going to get harder in other ways. So
you're right about that.
Yeah. Well, at least we have each other now. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Thank you.
When I knew I wanted to expand my business, photography wise, I'd always dreamed of having a studio. A place that I could call my own, a place where I could hold my own sessions, a place away from my house where I could just go. But when I started thinking about this and seeing spaces, the thing that kept coming back to me was a gathering place. It was more than just a photo studio. It was a space where clients could come, and then those clients would become friends, or they would bring their own friends, and women could just come together. I really didn't feel like something like that existed. I kept thinking back to when I was a mom and just wanted to get out of my house and was like, where can I go to just connect with myself, right? And I just felt like there wasn't many spaces that existed like that. I've always had a love for wildflowers, and my son was born to Wildflowers by Tom Petty. When I was thinking about what this would be and what wildflowers represented, and how obviously for me it represented the day I became a mother, it just kind of was like a no-brainer to lean into that. Yeah. And then now I've like really leaned into the wildflower vibe, if you can tell. It's like wildflowers everywhere. I'm wearing wildflowers. Like,
it's beautiful in here.
Thank you.
And the energy is right.
And I want it to feel like comfy and cozy and welcoming. And I was saying to someone who stopped in community hours yesterday, my grandmother holds like a very special place in my heart, and she is one of like the strongest women I know. When I think of wildflowers, I think of, you know, these really resilient women who find ways to grow through the toughest environments, right? And that is my grandmother to a T. And when I was thinking of this space, I wanted it to kind of emulate her. So it's kind of like grandma chic. Beautiful nod to the strength and resilience of women. My parents were watching the kids for us like a week or two ago, and my mom was like recording them, and she was texting me about how they were just like talking in the room, like the room together, and just the conversations they were having, and like again, this connection they have that is so like it's like their own world. It's crazy. When I think about, you know, the future, it admittedly is daunting, especially being a mother now. I definitely think I have become more passionate becoming a mother myself, having a daughter specifically, and also raising two boys who I want to value female autonomy. I want them to grow up respecting women, respecting their sister, protecting her, right? And I think part of that protection is also giving their sister autonomy in herself, independence, and protecting her freedom, right? What scares me is thinking of a future where my daughter doesn't have a choice, or my daughter is in a really, really dangerous or compromising situation, right? I still think about that for myself as a woman. It's hard to talk about, but, you know, thinking about being in situations where you feel like you're safe and then the next minute you don't. And I do think that's unique to women and just culturally. It's definitely become, like I said, more of a passion now, having a daughter myself. Seeing her strength already as a 3.5-year-old and how determined and fiery she is, I want that to continue. I do not want that to be suppressed. And that, I guess, is what part of my fear is, if we head in the wrong direction. And I still do this. I mean, I do this every single day with her. I say to her, who is strong? Who is brave? Who is smart? She's beautiful. She's kind. She is those things. But I always focus on those three. My mom, very independent. She ingrained that in me and my sister from a very young age too, and I credit her a lot. Again, I think, especially now, kind of moving away from my own daughter, and I think you'll relate to this, experiencing motherhood, pregnancy, the complications that come about from becoming a mother, physically, hormonally, mentally. To me, it's a no-brainer to protect women's rights and to make sure they have all of the resources available to them to make sure that they can protect their mental health, that they can protect their bodies, and make the best decisions for themselves and for their own family unit. Going through this journey myself, it's sparked something in me that was always there, but is definitely more ignited now because more is at stake, right? And women supporting each other, it is amazing. And I've talked about this with friends and, you know, other women that I meet, just how overwhelming this time is, especially being a parent, a new parent, navigating all this, right? Like it's really difficult while also trying to navigate my own shit. Like, you know what I mean? It's exhausting. So I've had to be really intentional again about like where I dedicate that time and mental energy. I'm just thinking about like, I always laugh when I think about, you know how you like see on Instagram, like the Instagram versus reality?
Yeah.
Because I really do try to keep things authentic and keep them real with what, you know, I'm presenting on social media. I just feel like I've finally hit this groove and I am like, this is where I'm supposed to be. I'm still figuring it out. It's still an evolution, but I'm just going for it and we'll see what happens. To be determined. Like, I don't know. Okay, so there's this part here where it's like, again, I am really trying to help women. I am trying to bring about awareness for maternal mental health, all of these things. But I am also driving home from the city yesterday with my 3 kids in the car screaming, and one has to pee, and I'm trying to listen to a podcast while they're watching a movie about, you know, I don't even know what I'm listening about, leadership skills or something. And my 3-year-old boy is like, Mommy, I'm going to pee my pants. And
somebody's kicking the back of your
chair. Yeah, literally someone's kicking the back of my chair or spilling stuff everywhere. And I'm pulling over the middle of Upper Darby and we're peeing on the side of the road. So if you saw it, I'm sorry. but like, that is the reality, right? My life is crazy. Like, it is nuts. Like, and that is what I found, especially with connecting with you, other women. It's like, we need to keep it real so other women aren't looking on Instagram or Facebook or TikTok or whatever it is and constantly comparing themselves. There's a part of me that is, again, this passionate female who, again, wants to make an impact in this community. But I'm also having my kids pull over on the side of the road and we're like, you know, peeing on Westchester Pike. Like, that's the reality of what my situation is and the stage of my life is. Like, it is, I always say to people when they see me in public, I am sorry if you're witnessing absolute pandemonium right now.
You have to apologize.
I know, but like, it is actually craziness. I get it. I really do. And I know it may seem like I have all my shit together with this space and with my business. That has taken a lot of time and that has taken a whole other part of like my brain and, you know, energy. But I also am like just trying to survive. I just now own it. I've just given into it. I'm like, whatever, you know, it's what it is. So, love writing. That's something I want to do more of. When I went through my postpartum depression, one of the things that helped me most was writing poetry, which I've shared some, but not all of it. There wasn't set times when I did that. There wasn't a consistent schedule with those things. And I know sometimes people look for that. I still look for that, for consistency. But what I found was that really helped me get to this place of, okay, this is what I want to go after, and this is what's calling me, was when those feelings would come up, I would not ignore them, even if they were difficult. And a lot of those feelings were difficult. I leaned into them. That was encouraged to me with years of therapy instead of avoiding them. And I, you know, again, will avoid them at times and put them in my little Pandora's box. And I'm like, I'll check in with that later. But I think it's really important, and I would encourage women listening to this to lean into the discomfort and lean into what is that you're feeling, right? That helped me figure out that flutter that I was feeling in my stomach was calling me to this work. If I'd waited and kept waiting and waiting to figure out what the perfect version of this was, I would never do it. It was scarier to imagine the regret of not doing this than it was to just do it. And that's what fueled me, honestly. I would literally I'd be in my car and I would feel something come up and I would be like, what is this? Yeah. And I would write it out in my notes or like a little journal I had in my bag and flush it out. And a lot of the time what that felt for me, which was unique to me, was connecting with the struggles of being a mother, connecting with that feeling of feeling empowered again, finally, after so many years of feeling disconnected from myself. And the rush that gave me when I finally figured that out, it was like, I have to do something with this. That fuel to put it into to keep building something. And to me,
go ahead, entrepreneur.
Yeah, I'm trying. I'm trying. This woman, she was getting emotional about something. And she was like, I'm so sorry. I did not mean to get like this. And I was like, girl, lean into the feelings. So I'm usually in these people's homes within like the first 1 to 4 weeks, I would say, postpartum. So I'm there when it's, you know, pretty raw. Fresh and raw. Yeah. Absolutely. My focus, no matter what, whenever I go in, is on the mom. I'm obviously there for the baby and to take beautiful pictures of a child. My thought on it is, if the mom is not at ease, nobody's going to be at ease. Majority of the time, the mothers are the one booking these sessions, and they're the ones who, you know, really want this time captured, right? So my goal is to focus on them and what they need. So if I go into a newborn session, it's just it's their first child, it's their first baby. Things are a little calmer in the sense that there's not like other kids running around. I'm able to, you know, spend more time with just the mom and their partner and really get to talk to her about her journey, how feeding's going, how I can best assist them while, you know, I'll hold a baby while the mom might need to go pump, do whatever, take a break, whatever she needs to do. I always offer that. I also love holding babies. So it's kind of like win-win for me. In those type of sessions, it's definitely more where I'm coming in like a friend who's coming to hang out, offer a hand, and I just happen to have a camera in hand. When it's with kids, so a newborn session with multiples, I usually go right to the siblings. And that's because if I can get the siblings on my side, everything goes smoother. And a lot of the time it's just me taking time to connect with the kids. And they feel like they are, you know, welcomed in. It's not just about the baby. They feel like I'm there to have fun with them. Then again, it's just like I'm a friend or an aunt or whatever, just walking in. And a lot of the time that puts the parents at ease as well. And then everyone just kind of like feels that energy. Like the shoot I just had today, it was 3 kids and the 2 siblings were 4 and 2. The parents were like, you know, we're so sorry, the house is a disaster and we don't know how this is going to go. So-and-so had an ear infection and, you know, he's been a mess this morning. And I'm like, it's fine. Like, I promise you this is fine. I promise you I've literally seen it all. I really try to make sure that, again, when I'm in people's homes, it just feels like I'm I'm just like part of the family unit that day. And sometimes that means I'm hanging out after and playing with the kids, or they're taking pictures with my camera, or they're my assistant. Like, sometimes I'm literally holding a baby while I'm photographing the mom and her toddler because they're having a sweet shot. Because it's not just about the baby, it's about them and their older child and bonding in a new way as an older sibling now, you know? So I really try to like come in and capture what that moment of time is for the family. Georgia stopped in yesterday for community hours, and she started this postpartum food service, which I think is genius. Again, something that I didn't know existed and doesn't really exist, right? And my other friend happened to come up. She's like 39 weeks pregnant, ready to go any day. What we got to talking about was, you have a mom or you have a woman in your life, best ways to support her. We tend to do things that like we think we would want, right? Or how would, like, what would help us. And a lot of the times that's not really in line with what they need at the time. And I think that is just something I wish I knew, or I had the confidence then, like years ago, to figure out what it was that like would best serve me, and not feel like I'm being selfish or feel, yes, I'm asking for too much. Just again, becoming a mother is the baby. And there isn't enough focus on the mother. Something like George's business, I was saying to her, again, I wish I had this for myself. I wish I had someone delivering this for me, knowing it was created to nourish me. How often do we just focus on like what the mother needs? Kind of going back to that, like leaning into what you're feeling and what's coming up for you. Like, what is your gut telling you? If your gut is telling you that you need to establish boundaries, establish them. Like, don't be afraid of that. If your gut is telling you this is going to make you feel good, but you feel like it sounds silly, like, don't shy away from that, you know? Focus on yourself, however that needs to be. And for the support people, the village, listen to that. Don't just assume. If she is not well, nobody is well. So, and I can obviously say that I've learned that firsthand. So I really do believe that when you get to the other side of some of these things, these challenges, hardships, whatever it is, I've said this before when sharing about this space, there are like these silver linings, right? Like, I did not see what the silver lining was for a long time. There's a reason for why we go through these things. And it could feel really unfair. It could feel really, really sad. But I think what drives us, right, like now, is knowing, okay, what can I do about this now, right? Like, I had to have gotten through this for some reason. And my struggle with anxiety, depression, history of panic attacks, like, none of this is new to me. And it's not gonna just magically go away either, right? Like, there's gonna be other life moments where shit's gonna be really hard again. You almost, again, like, build up this tolerance and from these learned experiences that you just kind of keep shifting and keep building these layers where it's not necessarily, you know, a breeze to get through the next time, but you know you can do it. You've done it before, and you know you can do it again. What feels good for me, and not feeling bad about it. And now that my kids are in school full-time, I mean, full-time, I'm still like, you know, on call, and someone was homesick the other day, whatever, full-time. So, but I have more time. I have really been trying to, like, again, not feel guilty about if I don't want to do something or if I need to take a nap, I'm going to take a nap. So something that made me really happy the other day was I was tired. I could feel my body like shutting down. And I literally just got in bed.
And just took a nap.
And was, a few years ago, Rachel would have been like, no, get another cup of coffee.
Stuff to do. Yeah.
I have so much shit to do. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to get in bed. I'm going to watch, what was I watching on my phone? I was watching like some true crime documentary. Right? Like, I don't know, something like like the 5th true crime documentary that I've watched on Hulu or whatever. And I'm like in my bed watching this on my phone, so cozy. And I'm like, this might be the happiest I've been watching this show about some I mean, it doesn't even make sense, but just feeling like it was just me by myself in a happy space, cozy, resting, like at full rest, like not thinking about anything, just listening to my body. I don't know, I want to have like this ice cream in the middle of the day, and like I'm gonna do that, and you know, like I'm gonna be okay and it's gonna be fine.